the state of Tennessee decided that minors would not be allowed to have their gender changed. They would not allow this phrase, gender affirming care, to take place. They wouldn't let you, if you're 14, get your boobs chopped off. They wouldn't let you, if you're 15 or 16, get, I hate to be graphic, but get your penis chopped off because you think you're a girl, or more sadly, because your parents think that you are a boy or girl in a different body. They wouldn't allow you to get puberty blockers, which have been shown to sometimes sterilize people, and they wouldn't allow these surgeries, which can and treatments, which can, as I just mentioned, you're doing something at 13 or 14 years old that might keep you from growing up and having children one day. That is crazy. And I have been saying on this program for a very long time, strip it away from this gender-related issues. In most states, you cannot get your 14-year-old a tattoo legally without being prosecuted as a parent. And that doesn't even consider what your spouse might do to you. If I came back from Washington, D.C., and my son had an arm sleeve tattoo, I think my wife would murder me. I'm not kidding about it. He is 17. If I came back from Washington, D.C., and she was like, well, how did the internship? How did you do being responsible for our oldest son for 2 weeks? And I said, well, it went great. And, we were out one night, and I thought to myself, we should go into a tattoo parlor. And so I got him a full back tattoo. It looks awesome. I think she would murder me. I'm not even kidding. I think my wife would look at me, would turn, would walk into the closet, get the gun, come back, and just shoot me and say, you can't be trusted anymore. And it would be prosecutable. Sometimes I feel like in this world in which we live in, we have forgotten that there were other generations before us, and they had some small measure of wisdom. And one of those elements of wisdom, which everyone who has ever been a teenager before in life has come to as you get older, is, lots of times teenagers are morons. It would probably be better if we didn't have them make a tremendous amount of life-altering decisions at 14, 15, 16 years old. What you think at 14 is often not what you're going to think at 24, 34, 44, 64. And everybody out there listening right now, you're all nodding. As I have said for some time, speaking as a former teenage boy, no one is dumber in the entire history of the world at any age than teenage boys. They think, and we used to think, we are the coolest people who have ever lived. No one has a larger sense of self-regard and a lower sense of actual talent than a 16-year-old boy of any age at any point in history. You all know it. You've all seen it. And as a result, 16-year-old boys often make disastrous decisions. The most dangerous drivers on the planet, 16-year-old boys. So we say as a society, hey, you know what? Let's try and limit some of the decisions that moron teenagers can make that might have incredibly devastating impact for them as adults. I'll give you some examples. We don't let kids even rent cars. I believe I am correct that you have to be 25 years old to rent a car in most states in this country right now. We don't allow I believe I'm correct on this too, we don't allow most 18-year-olds to rent hotel rooms because we don't trust what they might do in the hotel room. We don't let 20-year-olds actually buy beer in this country. Yet you're going to tell me that a 12 or 13-year-old should make the life-altering decision that they're not the gender that they are in their body? Now, I don't even blame the kids. I really don't. I blame the parents who are allowing this to become a reality. You ever notice how the more left-wing you are, the more likely you are to have trans kids. This is the reality. There's lots of people in Hollywood that have multiple trans kids. The idea of one parent having multiple trans kids is statistically off the charts improbable. Yet it's happening all the time in LA. It's happening all the time in New York. The richer you are, the more of a celebrity you are, the more likely you are to have a trans kid. Does that make any sense? Of course not. And so we have made a lot of decisions about the choices that kids should be able to make and that their parents should be able to make on their behalf. And we're going to talk at 2 o'clock Eastern on this program with the Attorney General of Tennessee, Jonathan Skrmetti, who just won a 6-3 Supreme Court decision saying in the state of Tennessee, you cannot treat someone to change their gender when they are a minor. This is hyper-rational. This is basic common sense. The fact that we have such delusion in this country that all 3 left-wing judges, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, would all say the state shouldn't be allowed to do this is a sign of incredible mental illness on the left and how this woke virus has spread that we have gotten here. Again, I would just like to ask those 3 justices, do you believe that 14-year-olds should be able to get full body tattoos? I bet they would say no. Well, the tattoo is less significant medically than potentially sterilizing a child at 14 years old, which they are arguing the state should not be able to prohibit. And so I look at, I mean, again, I think of this in the context of tattoos because it's a body-altering in some way procedure. And I don't think there's anybody in the Supreme Court right now who would say, hey, we are going to disallow a state from prohibiting minors from getting tattoos. That is, in other words, I think 9 Supreme Court justices would say, yeah, it's in the state's interest to allow all kids restricted from being able to get tattoos. Yet they're going to say that it shouldn't be permissible for a state to stop this. I'm sure there's knucklehead 14 and 15-year-old kids out there that have wanted to get tattoos and have wanted to sue their parents for not allowing it or the state for not allowing it, but we would overwhelmingly say, well, that's appropriate. So somehow it has become orthodoxy on the left to allow this. We'll talk about this with Jonathan Skrmetti, but here's what I want to say, too. We should have national legislation to stop this from happening. And I mean, again, I want to reiterate this because it's important. Because the result here, and bravo Tennessee, my home state, for getting this done and winning this case, but the result is going to be, well, we'll just travel to Illinois and have this surgery. Or we'll just travel to New York and have this surgery. Or we'll just travel to California. Gender surgeries on minors should be prohibited nationwide. We shouldn't be allowing a Tennessean or an Alabamian or a Georgian or a Texan or a Floridian to get on an airplane and travel somewhere to get their genitals chopped off. This is just crazy town. And the fact that this has become Democrat Party orthodoxy, I just read, I'm in D.C. right now, I just read the Washington Post headline on this Supreme Court decision, and I shared it on my social media account a minute ago. Breaking news, this is the Washington Post. A divided Supreme Court cleared the way for states to ban certain gender transition treatments for minors. Even the phrasing is dishonest, but then listen to this. A polarizing national issue. Do you think this is really that polarizing? Every sane parent in America believes that minors should not be having these surgeries. I think it's an 80-20 issue. I really do. Maybe 90-10. But a polarizing national issue the Trump administration has seized on in initiatives targeting transgender rights. Do you think that trans minors have a right to chop their penis off at 14? That's what they're arguing a transgender right is. Do you think a girl should have a right to chop her boobs off at 15 for the rest of her life? Do you think that there should be a right to sterilize children in the United States because their parents happen to believe this lie that, sadly, I mean, I really do feel sad for these kids, because I think what the data shows is they are profoundly sad, many of these kids. And they're looking for a reason why they are profoundly sad. And like many kids, they latch on to an idea that is oftentimes not accurate, because they're teenagers and their brains aren't fully developed. And they decide, if only I were to take this huge step, then I would be happier. The reason I'm not happy is because I'm a boy in a girl's body, or I'm a girl in a boy's body. Adults should say, no, it's probably not the reason you're unhappy. Let's work on trying to make you happier because you're an emotional teenager. Let's try and bring you through this. Let's also maybe have conversations that it's okay to be sad and depressed sometimes. And that part of being an adult is working through being sad and depressed without taking drastic action. We don't want you to feel like, hey, when I'm sad and depressed, I have to go grab a bottle of liquor or I have to use an illicit substance. The best way to deal with emotion is to work your way through it to become a healthier adult. It's not to pretend the emotions are 100% real and that what you are feeling in a small moment of time is actually representative of how you're going to feel at 34 or 64 or hopefully 94 one day. And so I just feel like we have failed in many parts of this country, kids, and pretending that this is a normal thing and that we should in some ways affirm their necessity of these awful surgeries. We'll talk about it when we come back. I'll take some of your calls on it, but this is a win I wanted to start with. We're also going to update you on the latest Iran-Israel issues. We're going to talk with Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, bottom of the third hour. And again, Jonathan Skrmetti, the Attorney General of Tennessee, who won this big Supreme Court ruling, will be with us top of the third hour. But in the meantime, I want to tell you, a lot of people deciding that they want to put gold in their overall 401ks as a part of their portfolio just to have some solidity in a time where it feels like currency fluctuations are happening, stock market fluctuations are happening. For centuries, gold has been a reliable hedge against inflation, and it has retained its value. And of late, as overall currency values have declined, it has maintained its value. Maybe you want to have some gold in your portfolio, but you don't really know how. Well, let me tell you, you can put some in your IRA or 401k just by reaching out right now to Birch Gold. You can find out about tax-sheltered gold IRAs. All you have to do is text my name, Clay, to 989898, and you will get information from Birch Gold. Again, text my name, CLAY, to 989898. See why it might make sense for you to add gold to your portfolio and learn more about why people have been using gold as a part of their portfolios for hundreds of years. Again, you'll get great info, no obligations, 989898. Free info kit from Birch Gold. That's my name, Clay, CLAY, to 989898.